Okay, guys, I am back, and as you can see, I got a perm here, because guess what? We do perms outside of the school, believe it or not. This is Henry. Henry is my perm model. As you can see, Henry's got just about 2.5 inches of hair. Henry actually cut all his hair off for wrestling not too long ago, and he's been growing it back out to get a perm since. And I wouldn't do it until he was at least over 2 inches, because you don't really get a curl unless they add that. Now, we can see that Henry already has a little bit of wave to his hair, but just like these boys like nowadays, they like that curly look on top and then the buzz side. So we are actually going to probably do a fade on him after this. When you look over here at my supplies, you can see I have yellow and blue rods. Yeah, Jerry Curl World, you would think. But what I've learned on these boys, these young boys that want these perms done, is they do want it as tight as possible. It tends to fall out easily. They sweat a lot, they shower a lot, and the tighter it is, the longer it's going to last. And anytime I've gone with gray rods, they've been too big. I've gone with pink, it's too big. They always go back and ask me for blue and yellow, even in the salon. So as you can see, I have all of my supplies. Besides the rods, I have clips, I have my tail comb, it's a foiling comb. I also have these fun little things called perm picks. I know we don't use these in the school. I'm the only weirdo that uses them, but they are a thing, and they actually hold your perm together very well. They only cost about $1 at Sally for like 100 of them. Literally, it's 99 cents. And I just like them because they lift the bands and they make your work look neater. And for those girls and boys that hate perms and think their work never looks neat, try using perm picks because it makes your life a lot easier. We have a number 3 because he doesn't have any perm in his hair, so it's extra firm for normal resistant hair. Typically, if it's their first perm, unless they have fine hair, I do go with the 3. We do need to use the pre-wrap solution. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. I have my waving solution, my neutralizer, my wraps. The one thing I want to tell you guys can see, I have my scissors right here. I will never cut the top of a perm bottle with my scissors. I will always go in and use a pair of kitchen scissors or working art scissors. You do not want to damage your shears like that. Shears are just for cutting hair. The most you can ever cut with them is a paper towel. And you don't want to cut any kind of artificial hair or hair that's not on the body with them, because it tends to be coarser and thicker, and it can really do a number on your shears. So if you do want to cut hair with that, like wig hair, weave hair, stuff like that, or even the synthetic hair, you might just want to pick yourself up an extra pair of shears. Just for that reason. You don't want to ruin your good ones if you're cutting scissors, because the hair is thicker and coarser, and you never want to cut anything else but hair with those scissors. Alright, so I'm just going to go in, and you can see this is green. It's a pre-wrap. I'm going to go ahead and put it in his hair all over. Generally, I end up buying Henry's perms myself, so I don't usually use the option, but this is what we use at Capri. And this is one of my favorite perms to do, to use, because they really do work. So you want to saturate the hair really well. It's got a really gross, musty smell to it. And like I said, it is green. So I don't want you to like freak out like, oh my God, their hair is going to turn green. That's not going to happen. And we did already clarify Henry's hair before we started. I did go ahead and wash it with clarifying shampoo to make sure we get any impurities out of the hair. Yes, it drips everywhere. It's messy. It's ridiculous. So, typically I like to start in the back and work my way forward unless they want their perm to go forward. What I've learned, when the hair is past 2 inches, even if you roll the perm back, it ends up laying forward anyways because of the weight of the curl. So I do like to start in the back. I want to keep the hair as wet as possible, and I have to start at the longest spot that I can. I am doing a brick lay technique on Henry because of the fact that I don't want any splits. I want it to look real natural. I want it to look like it's his hair. Now, can I perm something that's 1 inch long like this? It's probably doubtful. I'm going to try to get it in, but guys, I don't know if it's going to work. But in this situation, I would kind of go in with a flat wrap where we place one on top of the other. I know we teach you guys that in the school. There are other ways to do it. I typically do a bookend wrap. You do want to have your water bottle handy to spray that paper down. I'm gonna go ahead in with the yellow, start in the middle, and just begin to turn. And it did grab a little bit of it, which is good. This is the back. I am gonna cut him. And he does already have some wave to his hair. Ooh, you could tell these haven't been used a lot. So just to even get that little bit of turn in there like that, that's okay with me. I don't mind, because this will fall down with the solution and it'll give them a little bit of texture. So that's kind of just my start. I am gonna start one directly above it. And like I said, I'm just gonna try to get in there as much as we can. We're about 2 weeks early for Henry, what we were going to do. And I'm gonna do a bookend on this one where I'm just gonna wrap it in half and pinch. Spray. Like I said, I'm going with yellow. They're nice and small. They're really gonna grab this hair, so it's a good thing that they are smaller. As you can see, I have no fish hook, and I roll tight as I can. I do not let this band twist, and I pull it to the front and clip. If you get anything stuck in there, you want to go ahead and get that out right away. You know, I have this piece right here that wants to stick in there. All right, so now I am going to go ahead and I'm going to work this way because I want more of a split in there. And I'll probably end up rewrapping that last one. We'll see. And you can see I kind of just part as I go here, and just maintaining the fact that I do not want anything to line up. So it may not look like a brick lay at first, but I really am just trying to maintain and make sure that nothing lines up with one another. Do my bookend wrap. It's a little bit easier for me to grab. I thought the flat wrap would work better, but it did not. I actually lost control of the hair. When you see this, I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up, flip back, turn, turn. And you do wanna roll your perm at 90 degrees, exactly where it lives on the head. Like I said, I'm probably gonna re-roll this one. A lot of this stuff too in here, it may not even get permed. That's why I'm kinda actually glad he has a wave to his hair, because whatever doesn't end up in the perm, usually I cut it pretty close to there, so I'm not really that worried about this hair down here. Just to get some curl in here. I almost wish we never cut it as short as we did, but he had wrestling and he wanted to. So you can see I'm kind of almost even piecing this together at the top, and it'd probably like me even more if I was rolling it forward, because that's the direction it wants to go on its own. But I want to maintain everything in the same direction. As you can see, the bookend really does help me get everything too, even if it's staggered shorter and longer. You just really want to make sure that you keep control until it gets to the shortest piece, and then you can go ahead and let go. Now I'm gonna get about 2 more, like one on each, about 2 more rows, and then I'm gonna show you what to do with the picks. Just because of how short he is, I am gonna use the picks. And that's the whole reason I put them out. Another thing we do love, you guys say always have your comb in your hand for control. I'd love to tell you I'm one of those people, but I need to have control of what I'm doing, not that comb. I will tell you, when I'm cutting hair, you will never see me put my comb down. You should never put your comb down when you're cutting, but when it's something like this and you have to control it with both hands, sometimes it's hard to maintain that comb, so don't kill me, Miss Sandy. All right, and as you can see, we're getting a little more of a brick lay pattern started now, so I'm gonna pop right to the middle for like my 1-2 split. And I want to make sure my section is not bigger than the rod size itself. And this one I am going to go ahead and I'm just going to keep going with my bookend. It seems to be working the best for me right now, where I fold it in half. We do ask you guys to do a flat wrap for testing, but if this helps you a little bit more when rolling your heads, I'm glad it helped. It's not a bad thing. As you can see, I have about 4 there now, at least. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to make sure my bands come forward. I'm going to lift them and I'm going to pick them together just to kind of hold it straight and hold it together because it is so dang short. Now, do I use this on everybody? No, we don't. You guys have probably, some of you have probably never even seen them before. I think before I pick this side, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap one right there. So let's get one in right about there and then go ahead and pick it. And I do have a couple blue ones there. I did that for the front, just to give it a little looser of a texture, maybe more of a dimensional texture up front. Try to always go as tight as I can in the back, but in the front, I like it to look a little more playful and fun. And as you can see, that hair fell out, but that's okay. I'm still gonna wrap this above it. I'm gonna leave it because it's still gonna give it texture. It's still gonna give it curl, but now at least I'm at a point where I can kind of come in here and grab, you know, what I haven't gotten already. And it does, it just holds everything in place. I know those are popping out, but like I said, once that perm solution hits, that's gonna fold in like that, and the cotton's actually gonna tuck that under. So I'm not really worried about that piece. I know it doesn't look like your cleanest perm, but if you guys think about it, doesn't that make you feel a little better? I mean, when you're doing work on a human, it's not like a mannequin head. Not everybody's head is the same. Not everybody's haircut is the same. I do cut Henry's hair on the regular, and he has a disconnected haircut. That's why you're seeing such longer pieces on top and barely anything on the sides. I do think we did change it up the last time and try to connect it more, and it's just trying to grow itself back. Also, my son tried to cut his hair. He wanted to be a barber for a day, and I think that, it's funny, isn't it? Because he's behind the camera right now. And he decided that he wanted to learn how to cut hair, so I walked in, and he had Henry's beautiful hair in his hands with a pair of clippers, and he just had a great day. He actually did really well at first, and then he kind of thought he got a little too confident, and he really botched it up after that, and I had to fix it. Now, if that perm pick is in your way and you can slide it up, go ahead. I don't really want that popping up, but I'm going to put one right in the middle right now for my brick lay pattern, and that's going to push that back down. At least it should. If not, I will lift that with a pick later just so that band doesn't stretch that hair. You don't want the bands to be tight on the hair. If the bands are tight on the hair, it can cause breakage, it could cause damage, it will damage the elasticity so that the hair no longer stretches, and then it'll just break. So you can see I'm back to my good 1-2 split, and I may have to bring that to the sides after this, but I think I'm in a pretty good position right now because I think what's gonna happen with this side here is it's gonna roll around the cotton, and like I said, it's actually gonna turn out really good. I go ahead and do my 1-2 split. So you can see I'm directly in the middle of the one that I rolled, and I actually have a little more hair to work with now, which is nice. And just like this bookend, you guys, too, I'm going to show you on the next one, you can do this long ways, too. You can see his hair is getting longer and longer now. So, yeah, Anthony definitely helped me out with this one, his last haircut. But that's okay. Like I said, now we're just getting a perm in it, so you won't be able to tell the difference anyways. He's giving me funny faces behind the camera right now. Alright, so I want to go to this side and work this way now. As you guys can see, I'm already almost halfway done. How much time have we been working, Anthony?
Just about 15 minutes.
So halfway done, 15 minutes, not too bad. On average, I roll one of these in about 25 minutes. With his hair being this short, it's going to take me a little longer because I'm having a hard time. but I was the one who chose to do it this soon, so kind of glad that you guys are able to see this and see that you can roll pretty dang short hair. Oh, look what happened to me. Isn't that fun? Love when that happens. That was a really good roll too. That kind of stinks. But I am going to go ahead and reuse this end paper, and I did tell you guys about the long ways you can wrap it. No, I lied. You can actually go like this too, if it's not too big of a section. But as you can see, that doesn't give me as much width, but this is going to resemble a little more of a flat wrap. But that gives me a little more room with the end paper at the top too, as you can see. And then there we go. Nice roll there. I won't need many picks after this, but I may still use them just because I like the way they look. So great, now I can come right back to the middle, and my 1-2 split is going very well right now. Like I said, I want to make sure my partings are as straight as I can be. Kind of like foils, you really do not want snaggers. You don't want pieces of hair from the next subsection, because if that happens, you're going to be pulling on their hair pretty bad, and they're not going to be happy. And then if you try to grab more than your section, that can also snag their hair because it's pulling. Yeah, these are beautiful now. They're rolling real nice. And remember, your section is never supposed to be any wider than that perm rod. Just had to remind myself of that because I rolled it a little wider. This is a smaller section. I could probably go with more of a length wrap, but I just love the bookend. It's my favorite. Since I'm towards the middle, I am going to go ahead and throw a couple blue ones in just for a little dimension. So I'm going to do a row of blue. Blue is still generally very small. The yellow is the smallest. But I do like to have dimension in my perms. I think that's what makes my perms what they are. And I think a lot of people come back for that reason. So that section, that would normally be too big. But because I'm using the blue and I don't want the split, I think that's actually going to be just fine. You can see I almost give the hair like a little pinch. I don't bunch it together, but I pinch it so I can grab it. And I don't always wet it either, too, because sometimes I get better grip with the drier one. My blue have been used a lot more than these yellows, so they're a little more flexible. So you can see I have 1, if you look, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. I'm going to come right back to the middle. This is the last blue one I'm going to do until the front. And I have my nice sprinkly 1-2 split. Like I said, on a human head, it doesn't always start like that, but it should finish like that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this finished up. I'm going to tune you guys back in when I get closer to the front and we get ready for our solution. If we look down, I hope this helps you guys a little bit on what perms kind of look like today on a boy, and what you should do. I don't like to row boys like foils either, or like a regular basic perm, just because of the fact that I want it to look natural. So stay tuned, I will be back and we are gonna finish this. All right, so as you can see, I have finished, for the most part, rolling, and I am preparing my cotton around. I'm still going to wrap his hair around some of the cotton, which means I probably won't remove the cotton. I'll just add more cotton, because this hair will actually curl around this cotton as long as I get it in there the right way. So that's typically how I finish on short hair like this, is I make sure whatever hair I couldn't get in curls around the cotton and I get some sort of texture in there. And sometimes I end up cutting it off, I'm not gonna lie. At all, because it happens. It all depends on how it looks when I'm done. So, like I said, I'm just piecing pieces around the cotton. I did try to get some in there to make a difference. And then I may even do that with the comb a little bit. Where did I put my cotton? Afterwards. I'm going to do one more row of cotton. You usually want about 2 rows. And just 2. Guarantee. And then another thing that I like to do is just take like a cheap conditioner. I always have cheap conditioner laying around. You can use cheap conditioner for a lot of things. It's just kind of put something on this hair down here. So if the perm solution does hit it, it doesn't really activate. Now, typically they're not supposed to wash their hair for, you know, 24 to 48 hours. But because I dip his head forward in my sink and not back in a shampoo bowl, I have to watch and make sure that the conditioner doesn't hit that perm. But usually I'm able to maintain that pretty well. As you can see, I just got a layer of cotton around there. I'm going to go ahead and wipe my hands off, and then we are going to get our waving solution. You want to make sure that you have a lot of protection. You want a towel around their neck, and you want a towel, and I don't want to get his clothes, and let him have something to put over his face. So I'm going to go ahead and just give him a few paper towels just to kind of cover his face if anything's dripping. I mean, we do have these extra friendly great masks we got going on right now. I'm going to get my waving lotion. Remember, you're never going to cut this with your hair scissors. You are always going to cut it with that. He's going to dip his head back, and I'm going to start going back and forth with the perm solution. Make sure you do have perm solution and not neutralizer. I cannot tell you how many, well, twice, I accidentally put neutralizer on somebody before the waving lotion, and yeah, their perm did not turn out. Not good for business. Everybody loses money and time. Not fun at all. So you usually want to use the solution until it's completely gone. Making sure you're getting everything you have rolled and these pieces kind of hanging out there. Remember, I said I'm going to make texture out of those myself because they are not long enough to roll. And just go back and keep going over. Now, obviously, this is half a head, but I'm still going to utilize as much of the solution as I can. Making sure I am just working back and forth. Equally, always wearing gloves because this stuff is gross and it stinks and you don't want it on your hands because it's a chemical, and its pH, unfortunately, is way above what ours is naturally. So once I have that done, before I wrap him, I'm just going to go back in and kind of play with that hair. Kind of give it some texture. Wrap it around the rods with the solution because it's bound to stick a little bit better. Wrap it around the cotton. And like I said, I'm going to add another layer of cotton instead of removing just for this purpose. But I do take whatever hair is left out and I try to make sure that I work it into the perm and that the cotton actually holds it there. All right, I am going to go ahead and wrap some more cotton around this to make sure that it does not drip down. And that's the thing you're worried about. You want to protect your clients too. We are going to be cutting his hair afterwards, but that perm solution can affect his hair too. So I have to make sure that that is all taken care of before we put that head wrap on the bag. All right, and like I said, where is my bag? Here it is. You're gonna make it nice and tight, just around where the perm is. You don't need it lower. I kind of, push that up. Twist it and then I tuck it. And then the time on these perms are 20 to 25 minutes. We will check him in about 15 as a test curl. Usually I let Henry go the whole time. This isn't my first rodeo with him. So I will get back to you once we get ready for neutralizing. All right, stay tuned. All right, you guys, so I went ahead and I did my test curl at about 15 minutes. He did end up staying on for the full 20. I rinsed him for 5 minutes and put a fresh layer of cotton on for my neutralizer. Right now, I am towel blotting to remove the moisture or whatever is left, and you can see my little texture pieces going up. We'll see how well those work out. They might end up getting cut off, but the ones in the front look okay. Oh yeah, see, that one turned out good. It's got a good curl to it. So we are going to go ahead and neutralize now that he is all towel blotted and kind of dried off. You want to get rid of as much moisture as you can, just for the fact you want the neutralizer to penetrate as much as it can. All right, so I have my neutralizer. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the top off that when I find where I put my scissors. All right, and we are gonna go ahead again and give him something to put over his face. Our towel to go. You should towel cape towel, but I got an extra thick one there. We are at home. Supplies can be limited. Probably could have grabbed some from the school. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my neutralizer on. And what your neutralizer does is it brings that hair right back to its pH for the most part, as much as it can. I never look for perfection with these things, especially when I'm rolling them. I always look more for texture, fun, messy. They don't like them to look perfect. They just want them to look good. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that ends up falling out, I end up cutting off because he gets a complete disconnection in his haircut. And you can almost see that like frizz, whatever frizz was there, go down once you put the neutralizer on, because that's what it does, is it puts that cuticle back in place. It puts that hair back to its natural pH. Typically an acid perm is going to run you about 6.9 to 7.2 in pH, and we know we got to bring it back down to a 4.5 to 5.5. So in this time, in this 5 minutes that this sits, that's basically what it's doing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add more cotton just so he can take that towel off his face. And like I said, I'm not big on removing the cotton. I just add it, because once I start removing things start falling out. So to me, it's better to just make sure that they are secure and nothing is running down their face. And we got about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and rinse him, and you guys are going to be with me to take this out. So I will see you guys back in a few. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and got him rinsed. I did actually remove some of the back rods that I could reach while I was rinsing him. I am going to remove the rest with you, but so far I see some great texture. Exactly what I am looking for. And these should come out real easily. If you rolled a good perm, you shouldn't have any issues with things coming out. And as you can see, I did not bricklay the first couple of them right here, if everybody takes a look at that. The reason I didn't do that is because I really didn't want them to have a split right in the middle in the front. So usually the first 3 or 4 of them, I may just roll like kind of on an angle or staggered. But as you can see, we do have some pretty good texture here. He definitely does need a haircut. But for only 2 inches of hair, I mean, we did pretty good. I am liking the way that this looks. There are a few pieces that I'll probably cut. Just because they probably didn't hit the perm or they didn't curl. And that does happen. If that happens, I see like one right in the front here. I'm not really digging that right there. If that does happen and you have something like that, you guys, go ahead and take your shears. I mean, nobody's gonna notice, and get rid of that and just make sure that texture is alive up there. I mean, those little things happen. They happen to me too. Sometimes the solution doesn't get all the way down, but it's generally a good 2 or 3 months before he's gonna cut this or do anything in it. So you're guaranteed to have another inch or 2 of growth anyways. I'm really happy with this. I want to cut his hair. Later on, we're going to cut his hair, and you will actually see like the results of the actual haircut with the perm. And you know, the one thing too, because I cannot, he cannot wash his hair for 2 days. I do like the perm to try to look and stay as nice as it can. So I'm just going to throw a little bit of mousse in it. You can put product in it. You just can't wash it. But just any kind of curl cream, any kind of texture, anything for texture. But if you take a look at it, those pieces that I put in, really you can't tell a difference at all. There's nothing sticking up or nothing weird on the sides. You can just tell that he's got a good amount of texture, which is a great thing. So I am very, 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 very happy with it. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope it taught you a thing or two. Like I said, it doesn't always look perfect on someone's head either, so I don't want you guys to get discouraged by that. Those mannequins do have a full head of hair, though. So I'm going to come back and probably do his fade later and video that for you guys, too. Hey, I'm back again. We just ate dinner, and now we are going to do Henry's haircut. We're going to actually start with a number 2, and like I said, we are going to do a disconnection. Kind of just deciding where I want that disconnection to start. I don't want to go above the crust or the parietal ridge. Kind of want to just focus about right there. And then if anything in the perm is off, I will cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start high. I'm going to start with my 2 and get all this off first. Like I said, you don't want to go above the crust or the parietal ridge. As you can see, that's usually a good spot right about there. And I'm going to kind of just work with that, because then it'll actually hang over that curve if I need it to. Alright, so we're just going to keep working that number 2 up and around. You see, I'm kind of just winging it off to cut that hair that I don't like up there. And then same thing with over here. I don't worry as much in the back about that straight line, but in the front, I do. I really want to just make sure I get that higher number done out of the way. Sometimes the perm does mess with the hair, and you can see right here it did a little bit, so I may want to go a little shorter up with the one up there, but we'll see how it looks. It might be all right. It might settle itself down too. I really do like the way the texture turned out on the perm, though. You can see it's not crazy tight. I don't know why you would think that the Jerry curl rods, those yellow rods, would make it crazy tight, but it really didn't. So once I'm done with that too, I'm gonna pop my number 1 on. He goes all the way down. I'm gonna start with a 1.5, and I'm just gonna work this nice and straight. And if you look at that blade, it's working on that bone. I'm just working nice and straight. And his fade line is actually already kind of starting there for me. So if you guys look right here, where the number 2, sorry. Oh, we're losing a mask. Go ahead, get that mask back on. If you look up here where the perm kind of got into his actual hair, I'm going to shampoo that out just because then it'll take that texture out of there right there. So I'm taking my number 1 and I'm just kind of working straight up into the 2. Unless I can just work that right into that. Maybe that'll work. Which 2 then helped a little bit. You notice I'm not going all the way down. There's no point. I'm cutting that with a half guard. I'm just literally taking the 1.5 straight up. I'm not rocking it out. I'm not letting it curve in. It's just working straight up. It's almost like I'm creating my outline. Right here, a little bit diagonal. Straight up onto that bone. Same thing there. Not letting it get too high because I want to keep a little bit of a fade line in there. So it's just going straight into that number 2. You can see that's very natural. What's happening here is a very, very natural fade. So if you look against my hand right here, and you see the way the blade is going, it's actually just working straight. It's not curving in, it's not winging out, it's literally working straight. Once you get this down, it will make all the difference in your fades. If I ever feel like I see anything too heavy, I take the guard in the corner of the guard, and you can kind of get in there and just kind of chip away at that. Just to kind of ghost shade it out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this number 1 off. And it's always good to have a brush and to get the excess hair off in between. It's good for people too, but the more hair you keep conjunct in there, the less your clippers are going to last. Alright, so now I'm going in with the half guard, and this is going to be really slow. As you can see, I have a nice line going right here, but nothing that's not blended. And I'm going to come in slightly diagonal, and I'm actually going to stretch the skin with my thumb. And I'm going to kind of work on that bone again, nice and straight, just like I did with the 1.5. I'm just not going as high. I am working in a diagonal motion. As you can see, that's kind of just coming right into that. I'm going to move that down. to hold that mask on. And I want to graze it very slowly right off that bone so I get more of a natural fade and I'm not creating this giant line. And as you can see it comes right off the bone, and you're just letting it come right off that bone to create that fade. I'll continue through the back. Work a little bit quicker through the back, kind of just getting rid of that hair. Usually what I'll do is I'll create almost a line, and then I'll go in and I'll slowly work that out. I don't care to create a line, but if I want to try to hurry up in the back here without screwing up my fade, I just know not to go higher than that, like I just did a little bit. Nice and slow. Let's do the blend right here. As I go slower, you just kind of let it come right up and off that bone. It takes that line right out without taking away from my fade. So again, now it's kind of coming right off that occipital bone and working right up into that crest. Very straight and just kind of letting it do its own thing. It's just on the bone. So you have to let the bone guide you, and then it will guide your fade while you're at it. And as you can see, I haven't really created. I created a line on purpose, but it's gone. Just going over this one more time to make sure I get everything. I didn't miss anything. I'm a little heavy over here, but we'll work on that. We'll go back. So on this side, I am going to go ahead in nice and diagonal. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in with my number 2 one more time, and I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything. So kind of just going back through. It doesn't really sound like it. It's taking a little bit off, but not much. And then the same thing with your 1.5, but you can actually go in with a 1 now because you didn't use the 1. We used the 1.5. So whatever little bit of lining we have left, if we go real straight on there, that 1 should take care of it. Alright, so I decided to come in and just go all the way down to my 0 guard and fade it in with the 0 guard, which means I just have to come up and taper this corner. I don't have to worry about any lining up and stuff like that if I'm really going all the way down, unless they're looking for that ghost line, which typically we don't have to worry too much about that. So what you're going to do when you're coming in with the bald fade and the 0 is you're actually just going to bring it right up to occipital. And then kind of stop. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to raise that guard just slightly, just in case there is a little line above the occipital from taking that 0. But I'm just working that up. But as you can see, we got some really good fading going in there. I'm going to take the shampoo a little bit in that spot we talked about from the perm. I may even take a little bit of Dawn dish soap because it's higher in pH. Just to kind of take out that spot. So what we're going to do, like right in here where he got a little messy, which I thought I did really good, is I'm just going to wash it. Because what do you not do with a perm for 24 to 48 hours so it lasts? You don't wash it. So if I wash this spot, it should relax it a little bit so that it doesn't stay like that. I want to be sure not to get it into the actual perm. So I'm just going to push down. Ooh, as I drop it. I'm gonna hit it with the comb. Okay, you guys, so we're done with the actual perm and the fade. As you can see, what we thought would be a jerry curl really just gave him the texture that I needed him to have. It looks fantastic. We have a very effortless fade. Very, very nice ghost lines. There's nothing that doesn't look like it is not blended. So I appreciate you guys' time. I'm happy I was able to teach you something even out of this. I'd love to tell you to subscribe, but I'm not doing this ever again. Thank you.